It is Tuesday, the 11th of June, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. A 15-year-old schoolboy of Enterprise in Chaguanas was fatally stabbed on Sunday. Christian Lashley was stabbed in his torso while lambing with a group of young men from his community. Police were told the encounter began as a play fight, but ended with Lashley being stabbed with a pocket knife. The perpetrator fled the scene. A police report stated around 5:10 p.m. Officers from the Chaguanas CID received a report of a wounding at the Chrissy Trace Recreation Ground in Enterprise. PC Williams and Carmody responded to the scene where they met a 17-year-old boy who reported that at 4:45 p.m., the perpetrator and other persons were at the pavilion when he observed Lashley and the perpetrator play fighting. In the report, the witness told police a few minutes later he saw Lashley holding his right side of his torso covering a stab wound, saying, "Take me home." The witness said the perpetrator, who was armed with a pocket knife in his right hand, fled. Lashley was taken to the Chaguanas District Health Facility and later transferred to the Mount Road Pediatric Hospital, where he died while being treated. A post-mortem is set to be done at the Forensic Sciences Center in St. James. Detectives of the Homicide Bureau Region 3 are investigating. Police also said around 9:30 p.m. the same day, the suspect, a 15-year-old boy from County, in the company of a close male relative, walked into the Chaguanas police station where he confessed to the stabbing. The suspect was taken into custody at the Arupooch Juvenile Booking Center, pending further inquiries. A teenager was shot yesterday morning during an attempted robbery near a bank in Arima. The incident took place just after 8 a.m. on the Eastern Main Road. Police said a customer went to the First Citizens Bank to deposit cash. Before he could do so, he was confronted by an armed assailant. The suspect was brandishing a firearm, attempted to grab the bag containing the undisclosed quantity of cash. The customer threw the bag and the suspect ran to pick it up. The customer then pulled out a firearm and fired shots at the suspect. Instead, the bullet hit a teenager standing nearby. The suspect fled the scene. Police and paramedics were notified and the injured boy was taken to the Arima Hospital for treatment. His injury was said to be non-life-threatening. The screams of a child left alone in a vehicle echoed in the car park warehouse of the shopping complex Price Mart in Laramie Main on Sunday, drawing the attention of a security guard and an off-duty senior police officer. The child, 3 years old, was discovered unattended in the backseat of a Nissan AD wagon with the windows half closed. A DMA man returned to the vehicle about 20 minutes later, walking with 2 elder sisters of the toddler. Both sisters are under 10 years old. The suspect, age 56, of Wendell, was taken into police custody on Sunday night and was expected to be charged under Section 4 of the Children's Act, which covers willful assault, neglect, ill treatment, and abandonment and exposure of a child. High Court Judge Margaret Mohammed was granted leave to 115 police constables to challenge a decision by Police Commissioner Earl Hayward Christopher to promote several officers ahead of them in a matter that's now created controversy within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The officers are contending the decision to promote 29 officers who were named in the judicial review suit ahead of them is unlawful. The constables are claiming the 29 officers on a comparative merit list scored less than them but got promoted due to a computer glitch. The officers, via the legal action, are seeking the court to compel Hayward Christopher to retroactively promote them to corporal as of September 29, 2023. The U.S. Embassy in Port of Spain reveals effective immediately non-immigrant visa applications now have the option to submit the application fees online. After creating an online profile, applicants can access the payment page and select either the cash payment option at the Scotiabank branch or online payment using a valid credit card. The new addition to the online payment option provides an alternative to visiting a bank. Payments by credit card will be confirmed immediately. Applicants can then move forward to schedule an interview or register or send their documents. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service 5-day weather forecast reveals the country and the Windward Islands will experience the effect of a passage of a tropical wave. It said the weather is expected to be influenced initially by the Intertropical Conversion Zone, the ITCZ, the nearest tropical wave east, located 300 nautical miles east of Trinidad and moving west at 10 to 15 knots per hour. The Met Office said from Thursday evening to Friday morning this week, the wave is likely to produce partly cloudy to cloudy periods with a few light to moderate showers. and a medium chance of developing into an isolated heavy shower or thunderstorm in some areas. Antigua Prime Minister Gaston Brown said the Antigua-based Lear 2020 has received its air operator's certificate. However, he's criticized the Barbados-based Caribbean Development Bank for further delaying the airline's return to the regional skies. The Air 2020 airline is being formed in partnership with Air Peace, a private Nigerian airline founded in 2013. And earlier this year, Brown said that Air Peace would be putting close to the US $65 million, while the government of Antigua is investing US $20 million. And that's news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Tuesday morning to you, wherever you are. Hope you guys have a great dry day. Yeah, a dry day. Yeah, like Friday, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. So good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital, with studios at 88 to 90 Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain. Of course, it's Tuesday, the 11th day of June. And of course, on the show, it's the R's twins. We've got Paul Richards. We've got Richard Ragoobarsingh. We've got Ruben. And then you got the S's. You got Shane and myself, Steve Codd. All right. It is at Piarco International Airport, 24 degrees. It is the same at Crown Point in Tobago with rain. Good morning to you, Pablo. What's happening?
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. What a night.
You could say that again. I'm not talking about the rain.
What a night.
Yeah. Why? What did you do, Paul?
I slept.
You did. Yeah, I went to bed late. Went to bed late. Had to see about the putty cat. So I did go to bed a bit late. But it is rainy. What is the Met Office saying our weather is going to be like for today? Let me just check and see if it's updated. It has not been updated since yesterday at 4:41. Well done, Met Office. I'm very critical of you guys. But, yeah, you have not updated your weather. But anyway, as soon as it comes up,
It rained all night. What do you want to know again?
What today is going to be like?
It rained. It's going to be rainy.
Let me tell you. So when I left here, I went home. I picked up Lovey to go to the vet in Diego Martin, Sunnyview. And it poured. The lightning struck a lamppost. It poured for a good 45 to an hour. I didn't see rain like that since last year, put it that way. But talk about rain. And then in the east, it poured again. Went through some flood. But boy, that was some rain. Of course, overnight, I guess it rained when I woke up this morning. It was raining, and I just said, do I have to go and see Paul and Richard's face this morning? Do I? And then I said, can I call in rain? And I then said, well, Paul will probably scamper. Then I'll get a bunch of messages. Oh, God, Paul making mistakes. Hello.
It's really rainy this morning. It's rained all night last night. It rained last night. It rained overnight. It rained into the morning. It's raining now. So those of you who are leaving your homes, please be careful on the roads. It is going to be wet all day, the roads. In some instances, I'm sure, given the kind of rain I'm seeing last night, water tables are nearing maximum, which means smaller water courses may be overflowing. So please be careful. Please be careful. Please be careful.
And then you realize...
It's perfect for me. It's cool. It's nice and cool.
Yeah, it is. And then you realize how much we throw litter into water courses. The amount of water, the amount of debris I saw, cups and food containers and water bottles, and it's just we need to stop that, recycle and put things in a bin. If you're on the highways from Cuba heading towards the interchange, got a lot of congestion. Same thing on the Valencia stretch, same Piarco. Straight to Port of Spain is a lot of volume. So please take your time. There were a few accidents yesterday. So please take your time. Don't mash your brakes when you hit a puddle of water. Don't do that. All right, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. I'll start with WhatsApp. I got Captain Ron locked on in Orlando. We got Sankofa. We got GNC Auto Security. Good morning to GNC. Where are you located anyway? Dan Raj, good morning to you as well. Let's see who's on Facebook and on YouTube this morning. John Cato, got Cillian Valencia, Wendy and James, DJ Ray out in Delaware, CJ New York, Maria Celia, Slick Money Grip, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, Boy Badesi out in Davie, Marcia Rock in Orlando, Wayne B in Commodore, Georgia, Oliver Man Warren, Brennan Smith, good morning, Brennan, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, D. Pierre, Subash Mangal, welcome. Good morning to you. Rena Buru Jennings, Hector, Sherwin Kerr, from a very rainy Arima. Yeah. Alistair Hart, DL, Shanifa Ali, Trinity in Boston, David Wares, and Mrs. Wares. I hope you're feeling a lot better, Mrs. Wares. Patricia DeFore, DL. Just send us some messages on YouTube and Facebook. And good morning to all those watching us on television, on Me TV. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us and watching us on this Tuesday's edition of the Paul Breakfast Show. It is the 11th day of June.
Sad news.
Oh, no.
Well, a 15-year-old schoolboy from Chicago.
Oh, that, yeah.
And because one day play fighting with a friend. They were play fighting with a penknife, and he ended up being stabbed in his torso. From all the accounts, including the police accounts, it seemed that it wasn't an intentional fatality. And his name is Christian Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
He's dining with friends in Chagonas by the Chrissy Trace Recreation Ground. And the 17-year-old, the young man who died is 15, a 17-year-old and him were tossing in our kids go.
Mm-hmm.
With a penknife, and the 15-year-old got stabbed in the tussle. And he died while undergoing treatment, was taken to the hospital. And sad. The 17-year-old boy fled and then turned himself in later in the evening at 9:30 with a close male relative. Mm-hmm. He turned himself in with the relative to the Chagonas police station and confessed to the stabbing. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is very unfortunate. After the investigation, it's already sad that one young man has lost his life. And
yeah,
we see how it goes.
Play fighting with a penknife.
But I was in the football field, and there's a broken bottle, and I had it in my hand, and somebody kicked my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Normal kids play thing.
Yeah.
And it sliced into the artery in my right hand.
Oh, crap.
And I ran home.
Bleeding like hell?
Well, I didn't realize I was bleeding so bad because there's a tap outside the house. I washed it out before I come inside because I didn't want the drama now.
Mm-hmm. But it still happened.
I don't realize that that this is really a bad cut and cut the artery. So I washed out some blood outside. And then I went inside to the bathroom and washed out some more blood. And my mother passed and happened to see me. She said, "What is that?" I said, "I just got a little cut." And she looked, when you see blood frothing, it's from deep in your system.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh my God." And wrapped the hand, and I was rushed by my parents to Port of Spain General with my hand outside the car holding it up in the air. Yeah, but to reduce the blood flow.
But I had
But then, let me finish the story. And the doctor said if I'd arrived there 1 hour later, I wouldn't be here today.
wow.
I'd lost so much blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I have a similar story when I was 7 years old. So there was a front door, and those doors had the square window panes, uh, 12 inches by 12 inches approximately. And from the living room is 2 steps, and then in the front porch, and then it's the door. And I jumped the 2 steps. I was 7 years old, and I slipped, and my hand went through that door. And I sliced. I don't know, you can't see it. I sliced from here straight across the here.
For those who are not looking, he's describing cutting across his right wrist.
Almost half my wrist. And I cut all my veins, nerves, and arteries. And the same thing, wrapped my hand in a towel, and flew down to Port of Spain General Hospital and got it stitched up. I had to do surgery after because they had to connect everything. So I have little patches of cuts all around. It didn't end there. 1 year and 3 days after, I was watching Spider-Man on TV. I decided to play Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
It makes sense now. A lot of things make sense now.
So I was climbing the walls of the bathroom, 1 foot on the left, 1 foot on the right, and I slipped. And then the pipe, the handle for the pipe went through just before my elbow on my right hand and sliced it. Got to the hospital, and the nurse was the same nurse. And she asked,
what happened to this child? This child had problems with it.
The nurse asked my mom, so what happened this time? But nothing. It was just a stitch up. Nothing was cut or anything.
Speaking of child, I don't know if people still do this nonsense, A child was left in a vehicle in PriceMart car park in Laramie.
I did not know that until you said it, and I got extremely angry.
3-year-old child, parent, 56-year-old man.
How stupid can you be?
Went into the establishment with 2 other children, 2 elder sisters, both seemingly under 10. And it is because this 3-year-old was left with the window half down, thank God. And the security guard called an off-duty police officer because the child was screaming in the car.
Well to the security.
And they reached into the car and took the child and waited for the man, who came back 20 minutes later. And he was expected to be charged under Section 4.1 of the Children's Act, which covers neglect and abandonment and exposure of a child. Come on. I mean, how many times have you heard about that? Jeez. Although he did leave the window half down, but suppose somebody reached in and gone with the child.
Exactly.
Why would you leave a 3-year-old child unattended in a car? He said the child was sleeping.
And so?
You pick up the child, put it over your shoulder.
And you proceed.
You proceed inside the establishment.
Mm-hmm. When they go, they'll wake up. When they come out of the car, they'll go back to sleep. Where do you think you live in, Mr. Man? What went through your head? I'll just sit here. You know what I'll do? I'll leave the child in the car. I'll put the glasses down so she'll get some air, and I'll leave it. How stupid could you be?
And in yet another incident involving a child.
Oh, geez, there's more.
Fortunately, this child is alive and recovering well. There was an attempted robbery outside First Citizen in Arima. Yesterday morning, as we were wrapping up, a bandit decided he get up and he going to rob somebody.
Oh, yeah, let me go and rob somebody.
So he going to work.
He going to work. Correct. They're going to work. It's a job.
And apparently there was a person who was going into the bank to deposit money. And while he was walking into the bank, he was accosted by the assailant, who was brandishing a firearm and attempted to grab the bag containing the money. This customer, like he thought all this very well, threw the bag of money on the ground, The suspect ran to pick it up, and the customer pulled out a licensed firearm, apparently it's a licensed firearm, and fired several shots at the suspect. Unfortunately, missing the suspect and hitting a teenager who was standing nearby.
He hit the teenager, you said?
Yeah, the bullet hit the teenager. The teenager was taken to the Arima hospital. The injuries were deemed non-life-threatening. Oh, Lord, Father. If it ain't one thing, it's another. I don't know. Never read
that fellow who left that child in that car in Price, I believe he said Price, man, parking lot. Kudos to the security officers that realized the situation. So kudos to him.
And Price Smart, Port of Spain.
Don't get me started at Price Smart.
I went to the movie. Well, not Price Smart. Let me scratch that. Not Price Smart. Movie Town, Port of Spain. Mm-hmm. I went to movies with my friend Callian on Sunday. And of course it was raining. And while she was walking out, we were walking out to the upstairs car park. It rained. The rain stopped. The car park, Movie Town did not send anybody to clear the water.
No, there's a lot of water
on the smooth tile steps that you all brilliantly put there. Mm-hmm. And of course she fell and hurt her hand. Come on, man.
I see a lawyer is getting a call.
I asked her when she got up. Why did you get up? Why did you get up?
Yeah.
You should have lie down and roll. When it rains,
but you
all know you have smooth tiles. Get your people out to either mop and clear or put up be careful caution signs.
Yeah.
Because the tiles up that they choose to deal with the thing to deal with the aesthetic, that's so smooth.
Tiles should not be outdoor. Eh?
Well, some tiles have the made for outdoor. They have a rough surface for traction. So, but those tiles upstairs, they are smooth tiles, which is like the stupidest thing in the world to me because you know they're exposed to the weather. Anyway, let's open the phone lines.
Yeah, but as I said, Price Smart. If I was to go to Price Smart and buy something, and I use my app or I use my card, the cashier will say, I need to see ID.
I got that on Saturday.
So I said, ID? ID for what?
Well, they did put up to advice. What the cashier told me is that people have been transferring cards to other people without being in an illegitimate manner. And so they're asking for ID now when you pull out your digital Price Smart card or your physical Price Smart card to a company to know that it's you are supposed to be the holder and user of that card.
Paying for Paul as far as I'm concerned. Because if I'm busy and I send somebody, go to Price Smart and pick this up for me. Here's my card. Can it be done? I have to physically go.
Doesn't work like that, Steve.
Yeah. So either that or I spend more money on Price Smart and get a second card.
222 talk.
And they said, well,
8255.
So I asked the manager who I knew. I said, why is that? Oh no, that's the instruction from the US, and same thing you said, people transferring the cards and so on. Ah boy. Good morning.
A very good morning to you both.
Somebody in a good mood.
Good morning.
Until all your good morning, until all your rattle me up. Listen to me.
Do I have to?
You see that you see that same gun story? You see why everybody not supposed to get a gun? Because what is the point of having a gun? You say, well, that is part of your job, and you can't aim properly. Look at what happens when people have guns and they're not trained to use it.
But we don't know if he wasn't trained to use it. Yeah, before you get a licensed firearm, you have to undergo some level of training. Whether you're proficient after that is another matter.
And then trying to use it in an area where people are, that is the dangerous part, And
full points, absolutely. And so you're right. Look what happened there. A teenager got shot, a bystander.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Multiply that by more.
oh God, Jesus, I wonder if that. Anyhow, and people continuing to leave children in cars. I wonder why. So price smart, so cold that you can't take your child in there.
I just think he didn't want to wake up the child, which is stupid because you will leave the child in danger outside because you don't want to wake up the child.
Very
What kind of
foolish. How
thought
old
process
is
is
the
that?
child was? How
3.
old was
3 years old.
wake up the child and
That's
put the
all.
child on
But you
the
did, but
carrier.
Zena, you didn't want to wake up the child. You pick up the child and put the child in, show the child is some children they didn't get up.
Mm-hmm.
In the trolley in that part where they know children normally
Mm-hmm.
sit. Come now, man, I can't see big people being so foolish. They need to be really need to be charged in truth.
But it's not just foolish,
Sense.
it's negligent.
It's common sense too.
People are foolish all the time. When it comes to putting a child in danger or leaving a child in danger, it's negligence now.
Right.
Are you going? Which blanket do you have on this morning?
I'm still on the railway road one.
Hmm.
American.
Hmm.
You jealous?
No, I'll be under the
Pick
you
your
be
cup,
under the
pick up
blanket and I'll be under you.
Shaman, good morning. Yesterday I see somebody saying Cat need to send you all a letter. I wonder for what? I ain't
For
seen
what? What we
anything
say?
with no letter. I don't know
What
what
we say?
um beauty
It's
college.
all
I don't
it's
know.
all in their minds.
But that's right. That's right, as we say it. Right, there's a lot of them have a lot of vice in the head.
What vice
Right?
is that?
But people, yeah, but I'm hoping that some of your callers will try and keep it in line now because we do read the messages too, you know. You understand? And all they want to stay behind, hide behind that what you call it, the
Keyboard.
scenes, hide behind the scenes and type and put things because a lot of them who making that mischief do call, you know. I'd like to hear some of them voices and some who call and make certain observations. You all will never call us of 4102. So take it down now. Some of you take it down. Thank you.
I left some coffee on the bedside table for you.
Thank you, my dear.
And some Bengay. Because I need like it acting up again.
You
None of it.
you rounding up yourself for some hard hand, you know. Strong. You ain't leave the gym, you know. Still in the gym.
Are you threatening me?
Let just remind you, take it down, eh?
But you don't say that anyway. Have a good day, Zeke. I'm going to say that before
I'm
Tat come. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Good morning, guys, and good morning
very
to our
good.
listeners, wherever you are watching or listening, or both from. Good morning to you all on this rainy Tuesday morning. I swear that it probably did not stop raining for the entire night.
Yep.
It's been consistent
Heavily, yeah.
rain. Really?
Heavily.
Okay. Pretty consistent rain, at least in eastern Trinidad. I don't know about the rest of the country, but it's certainly been pretty consistent throughout the night. Sometimes heavier, sometimes lighter. Yeah, I will. Let me just make sure I have it right here. Well, the Met Office has not updated their weather forecast, but adverse weather alert is on right now. It started at 6:14, and it will run till 2 p.m. today. 2 p.m. Okay. Yeah, so adverse weather alert from now till 2 p.m. Okay. My first order of business is to say thank you to Tobago for hosting Love is a Walk at the Shore Park Complex over the weekend on Saturday night. Yeah, no, we had such a fantastic time in Tobago. There is something about the Tobago that's almost magical, that just detaches you from whatever is going on in Trinidad in a kind of way, and it just makes you so relaxed. And I mean, we had people came out on Saturday night at Shore Park Complex. We met so many wonderful people, and we just had a great time. In all of the things that we did, including going for brunch on Sunday morning by where Joel Villafana from Couple Joe has his new restaurant. I think it's in Stonehaven, is it? called the Pavilion. It is absolutely gorgeous. An absolutely spectacularly beautiful place with spectacular views because it's on a hillside, and an infinity pool. It was, I mean, amazing. Amazing. Well,
I'm sure well, very rejuvenating.
of course, the food was also great. But the show went well. I mean, people had a fantastic time in Tobago. So much so.
Did you have any celebrity guests in the audience?
I wouldn't know. And
oh yes, you would. You look at the audience.
And so that show, I got so many complimentary remarks that people are asking asking us to come back and do a repeat. Because people had such a wonderful time. So thank you, Tobago. It really was a wonderful experience. And the Chopin people were very accommodating. Thank you so much. Beverly Oasis Suites was absolutely as fantastically hospitable as usual.
I love Beverly's. Love Beverly.
Usual. And Marcelin's Car Rentals and Crumpon, they were also fantastic too. So we had a wonderful time. So I just wanted to say thank you, Tobago. And we'll try and get back there. We'll try and get back there.
How was the beach?
A walk.
How was the beach?
I didn't get to the beach, but quite a few of the others got to the beach. They went like 6
You go to Tobago and not go to the beach?
Very easily. They got there about 6 o'clock in the morning. Because you remember, you have a busy
water
schedule.
one time.
Yeah, you have to. No, you have a busy schedule. Eh? Remember, we went to work. We didn't go to play. We had a play on. So, so the one time that people could have gone, they went like 6 in the morning or some ungodly hour like that. So, but it well, not so ungodly for some. So ungodly for me. I didn't sleep. But we had a good time. Oh my God. Yeah, love is a walk.
Well, in another really sad story, this 21-year-old man, Jaden Reyes, was laid to rest yesterday. And I mean, his younger brother, just Sani Reyes, was inconsolable as he told his elder brother, the 21-year-old Jaden, goodbye, of course, with the family and the friends and schoolmates. He's one of the 4 people who lost their lives in the Belmont shooting in Gonzales recently, when he tried to do a good deed while doing a good deed. You know, he went to get a sweat, people got shot, and he was helping them to get to the hospital. Of course, the horrible assailants followed the car and he was shot in the process. And it's just so tragic. You know,
Yes,
very, very clearly a young man who was going to do great things with his life. And a zombie.
Have they arrested anybody for that yet? I know that the TGPS has put out $100,000 reward for information on that incident, I believe. But I don't know.
Hearing an update, unfortunately.
I don't know if there's been any traction with regard to that. At least I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you all have heard anything.
I haven't heard any update. I know they put out the $100,000 reward and the minister held a press conference, but I haven't heard any update as to whether they have held anybody in connection with that.
I haven't heard anything.
I heard it was in retaliation, apparently, for some other killing in Belmont, and so it goes, unfortunately. And this innocent person lost his life. Fortunately, I'm glad I didn't hear any narrative that he was in a gang too and that kind of nonsense, which you normally hear because somebody is shot. You always hear about that narrative. From all reports, he was a very, very upstanding young man doing great things with his life. So, excuse me, condolences to him and his family. As they say, going too soon. Gone too soon.
Gone too soon.
I don't know. It's just, as I say over and over, I'm tired of the same thing over and over.
Over and over.
Yep.
All right. If you're on the roads of TNT, 2 accidents to tell you about. One before Freeport, northbound, and another accident is after Gasparillo, northbound. Of course, the cars are on its side. on the side of the road. So just proceed with caution and move along.
Another Jamaican artist is telling Trinidadian youth to count your blessings and forget gangs.
Who's this?
Anthony B., his real name is Keith Blair, of course, at the concert, which was very well attended on Sunday, World of Reggae concert. Just like the concert the week before, with the artist telling Trinidad youth, put down the guns and stop fighting. Don't kill your brother because he have a number 6 in him. Don't kill him because he have a number 7. Don't kill him because he have a number 8. That is your brother. Sit and reason it out. You know. So at least they're adding their voice in terms of sense. The concert also featured Shabba Ranks and Maxi Priest. You know, Barrington Levy.
That was Sunday or that was Saturday
That was
night?
Saturday.
Oh, okay.
That was Saturday night. You know, Saturday. How does a parent deal with that boy? You raise a child, invest so much love and resources, and the child is on the right path, you know, and showing great promise, and clearly based on everything he's done in his life, you get a call, your child shot or your offspring shot. And when he was trying to help somebody, how do you process that as a parent? I don't know. It's impossible to console that kind of grief.
Yeah, I don't think you can process it beyond the grief that goes with it. And it's a grief that doesn't go away.
Never go away.
It's always there.
It will always be there.
Yeah. It may not always be as
That
intense
access must be so profound.
as when it just happened, but it's always there.
Yeah. I mean, the loss of the promise of so many great things. Anyway, 222 talk, 2228. My brain going frying also. I'm so distressed by that, let me tell you. 222-8255. And if you are calling from North America, 866-525-1099. Steve is out of the studio. I guess when he comes back, he'll press the button.
Yeah, to take the call.
Yeah, to take the call. I see Mr.
But you can start calling in the interim. So 222-TALK, 222-8255, and North Americans, 866-525-1099. Absolutely too.
Mrs. Pasabi says, the leader of the opposition is at a meeting last night, says that she is alleging that she has proof that there's a cabinet note in her estimation to increase VAT. You know, she claims the government considered an increase in VAT to raise revenues. At the parliament sitting last Friday during debate in the media review, which saw an increase in $2.3 billion, the former prime minister asked whether the government proposed to increase VAT currently at 12.5% and also impose other measures to generate revenue. So she presented this, which the Express has published this morning, Cabinet Note number 1032, dated May 21st, 2024. The Prime Minister in the article rubbished Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa's claim and asked the question of open quotations, where did the opposition leader get that from? I can tell you without fear of contradiction, nowhere in the corridors of this government that I lead is VAT increase a discussion, nowhere. So do you think that should be the question this morning? Do you think there's any validity in the opposition leaders' claim that the government discussed an increase in VAT or something of that order?
It is a possible question. I mean, there was another one I was thinking of last time when I was watching the news. Of course, it's straight out of my head right now.
Well, you know, Tobago kind of wipes your brain, eh?
Yeah, so it's something I was thinking, kind of related to, well, I think it was related to the politics, about some of the story that was going on, but I just can't remember it right now.
The article goes on to imply or suggest that this alleged note says an increase in VAT to 15% can result in an additional $1.4 billion in revenue earned annually once properly administered. So, of course, the issue related to revenues came into the fray because the unattainment of the non-maintenance of the projected price of oil and gas has resulted in quite a significant shortfall in the projected revenue for fiscal 2024, which means the Minister of Finance spoke about that in several arenas last week during debate. But the Prime Minister says there was no discussion to increase VAT. But so Mrs. Pasabi has produced this document, which she says is proof that what she presented in the Parliament is true. You know how it goes in politics in Trinidad and Tobago. You know how it go. While we count down, how many days now? When is the 15th? Is it Friday or
Saturday?
Saturday to the internal elections. So this is a strong week of campaigning. You know, never a dull moment.
What have the polls said so far? Have there been any polls?
I haven't seen any polls.
Oh, okay.
I've seen any.
I've not seen any.
Anyway, the lines are open, and so you can get interactive in the conversation. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Yes. I've been listening to a video for about an hour with this Christmas listing. And when I listen to the guys that you've been speaking to, I am not seeing what this thing is about. What these fellas is fighting and killing, and it is so headless. When he's asking them, so what it is you all could do to stop the fighting? It's mentioning things like, well, we don't know, maybe when Jesus come and why all you fighting? Well, we don't know because them don't like we, and all these kind of things, and a man would think to do something wrong because the government are doing nothing. And since 1972 to 1975, I have attended a trade school, Tiantec and youth camp. Tiantec trade school and youth camp. And it didn't have the amount of programs that it have now. So IOC, what is the complaint? And this sounding, no, this did not sounding as though they have anything to fight about. And the other thing about it is, if you really listen to them, look at some. I see some. I lost my train of thought there, but I see some buildings. If you see these buildings that is where they had war, where they say they had war for over 15 years ago. If you see the size of these buildings, that is just there because of fight that people leave and stuff. What these fellas is fighting over, I really couldn't see it. And the thing about it is, the reason why people are saying that this man could go in there and the government. I remember Wayne Chance went to St. Paul Street, and when he went up there, you know what they told him? They said, "You're lucky as you when you're from jail. You're lucky, otherwise your head rolling back down the hill." So it's not easy for a local person to go in there. These fellas like that kind of shooting, where somebody from away come and would show it and put in six and stuff. That is what it's about. That have no substance, no nothing behind it, because they can't say what they're fighting for. The hatred just developed because of the nonsense that they say they're fighting for. This one killed that one, and then the violence start. But to say they're fighting for something, or I not seen it. I said when I watch that thing over, I watch all little videos of them, and they have nothing. Nothing.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody could go in there with a from foreign or something, and show them up, and they could point their hand and point 6 and point 7.
All right. Thank you, caller.
That not making any sense at all.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We hear you.
Ragoobarsingh, your papers?
No, I don't.
All right. So June 11th, 6:46. Let's start with the Daily Express. Deadly play. 15-year-old was stabbed to death in what has been described as play tussle. 17-year-old is the alleged perpetrator and has turned himself into police. Wounded soldier.
I can do the Guardian, by the way.
Okay, weeps for murdered Jaden. Of course, Jaden Reyes, who was killed in that horrible Gonzales mass shooting recently. Purported cabinet note to increase VAT. Carla presents proof. Brace for a rainy week. TNT Met Service has said we're going to have a lot of rain this week until Friday. Bystander hit by a stray. A teenager was shot yesterday morning during an attempted robbery near First Citizens in Arima. Trapped. A 69-year-old man was killed in a fire. Trapped when a fire that trapped him within his Claxton Bay home yesterday morning. According to police, Joseph Richards, a.k.a. Bear, was found deceased by fire officers at his Cartel home in Hermitage. Sad news. A child 3 left in vehicle at Price Mart. Murdered cop son gunned down in mass shooting. And schoolboy dies in knife play fight. Yeah?
You want me to go do the Guardian now?
Thank you.
Okay, I wasn't sure you were finished.
You know voice go down at the end?
Yeah, so, and it was a little bit of tone too. By the way, let's go to the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And of course, today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. The main headline on the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian this morning: cops fight Erla. 115 constables challenge Commissioner of Police's promotion list. Claim process is flawed. Court to rule on matter. So that's the headline that the Guardian went with. They have some sub-headlines. Pundit says Kamala unfit as UNC leader. And is Pundit Satyanand Mahabir Dubey. Boy 15 stabbed to death. And inconsolable grief. The main picture is that of grief-stricken Jasani Reyes as he is restrained by his father Ansel Reyes and mother Alicia during the funeral service of his younger brother Jaden at the St. Martin's de Porres RC Church in Gonzales. So that's the main picture, and it's tragic. That's all I can say. It's tragic.
Let's go to the news.
I still have the back page of the Guardian to do.
Oh, yes, we're still on again. I know you're done.
South Africa secures Super 8 spot. That's the headline on the back page of the Guardian. And that's about it. You may now proceed, Paul.
Newsday, Venezuelan withdraws. Newsday now. Well, Venezuelan withdraws appeal challenging Trinidad and Tobago immigration laws. 5-day forecast, more rain in Trinidad and Tobago. Manahambre man 50 shot in home robbery. ANSA CEO private sector can collaborate in green energy projects. Tears at Gonzales murder victim's funeral, Jaden's broken dreams. Joint Consultative Council, where's procurement regulators' annual report. URP Tobago wants to expand agriculture program. Missing Princestown woman family holding on to hope. And man shot dead in Carpachama, 4 wounded. DB man 57 held for leaving daughter, 3 alone in a car. And COP's extension goes to the Privy Council. So those are trending stories in your Express Guardian and Newsday for today, Tuesday, 11th June, 2023.
Yeah. All right. Of course, in some breaking news, I'm just putting it. Malawi's vice president has been killed. The wreck of a plane carrying Malawi's vice president was found. It took off yesterday morning on a military aircraft for a 45-minute flight through some bad weather. They found the aircraft with no survivors.
Okay. Could you get into the question? Because I have to log off for about 20 minutes to do an
Right.
interview.
You do that. Let me give you the results of our poll from yesterday. Yesterday, we asked you, should the House Speaker grant permission for activist Ravi Balgobin Maharaj the opportunity to respond to MP Keith Scotland in the House of Representatives? That was our poll yesterday. It was pretty close on the calls and messages, But online, 71% said yes. All right? Okay. That's our poll. It's on the screen already.
Our poll this morning: do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT? That's our poll this morning. Do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT? 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-525-1099. That's absolutely toll free. People on the streaming platforms, you can send your vote via the messaging portal located there. And of course, if you're watching us on television or elsewhere, you're listening to us and you want to do it via WhatsApp, you can at 868-318-1021. One more time, the question is, do you believe the allegations by the leader of the opposition that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT to help raise government revenue?
Right. That's
do you believe that?
poll.
Yes or no?
All right. Good morning to you, Ian Lee. Morning to you out in London. We missed you for a while. Richard Knight, P. Knight. Morning. Kyle Cupid, Wayne Ramsey, Mrs. R. Morning. Michael Gradison.
Good morning, Mrs. R.
Yeah. Angeline Smith, Paris Ram. Good morning. Hector. Evans David. Angela Collier Lewis. Ambrose Blah. Cynthia Aaron. Hector says yes to the poll. Richard Phillip, no. Anyhow, Miguel, no. Beauty Culture, good morning. Mrs. R, no. Boy Badesi, yes. Shanifa Ali, yes. Ambrose Blah, no. DL, yes. All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Yes, it was the same Prime Minister who said he not petrol.
All right. Thank you. Lenny James, no. Val, morning, Val. Stay dry today, Val. No. Bobby, morning, Bob. Yes. Cascade St. Anne's, yes. Jaron Joseph, yes. Let's see. Thank you so much for putting your names next to your yes and no's. I really do appreciate that. All right. Our morning poll again. Do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase value added tax, VAT? Yes or no? Captain Ron. Oh, Captain Ron, you put no and then you logged off. Okay, you deleted it. All right, I'll wait for you. He says yes. All right. Thank you, Captain Ron. Let's see. Oh, boy. Did I DL? Trinity B, right. Ambrose Blah. Okay. Miss Ingrid, yes. Beauty Culture, no. Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan, yes. Royalty Forever, yes. Julia S. Batiste, yes. Lester Craigwell, yes. Josie Richardson, no. Slick Money Grip, no. Wayne Lala, yes. Good morning to my good friend, Om Lala. Reynald Jeffrey, no. Eve out in Chegaguanas. Rail traffic today, Eve. We're coming in a Port of Spain. Rail traffic. It have accident by Monroe Road by the gas station too. Eve says yes. Let's see. Where did Wayne? Reynald Jeffrey said no. Wayne B says no. Trinity. Okay. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Beefy Smith, did you go to Richard's play on Saturday? Did you? Huh? He says, Beefy Smith did go to your play, Richard. He says yes to the poll. And great play, Richard. I enjoyed it. Come again soon.
Thank you.
All right, Beefy Smith. Let's grab some calls. Good morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. My answer is yes.
All righty. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning again for those who now joining you. Must see the same discussion with the inheritance tax? No.
Thank you. All right. Somebody says no. Emmanuel in Florida, no. Somebody says fake news. I don't know who that is. Michael in London, it looks like. Sherry. Oh, Sherry. Okay.
So fake news is a no.
Fake news and no. Sherry says yes. Central Animal Lover says no to the poll. All right. Yeah, Sherry said yes. Let's go back to thing. Cheryl Henry says no. Carol Guevara says no. Wassa, Carol is getting dirty water in the Chaguanas area. Okay, Wassa, thank you. Let's see. Yeah. Do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet? Okay. Marvin Gonzalez.
Increase VAT.
We have to increase VAT. All right.
Of course, it's an allegation from the leader of the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Says she has the cabinet minute or note or whatever, and of course, the prime minister has said categorically no such discussion took place.
Mm-hmm.
But we still asking the poll this morning: do you believe the allegations that there was, in fact, a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT? Yes or no?
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Richardson, Ragoobarsingh, Steve Khan. Happy Father's Day in advance. This is Bobby from Grandy. Mr. Khan, on certain discussion you discussed yesterday.
Yeah, we're doing a poll now, Bobby. We'll have to talk afterwards about that.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Finbar Collins. You need to vote, Finbar Collins. Yes, you need to vote. All right. As we have a minute again to take your votes. The poll question for today. Do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT? All right. Finbar Collins says no. No. Finbar Collins says no. Is that how you meant it? Pearl Cordes says no. For clarity, Trini B is saying for clarity, is a cabinet note generated for all cabinet deliberations? All right. Anne Marie Augustine says no. Trini B says no. All right, got a call again as we head towards news. AV's end. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I say yes because it's difficult to substantiate the allegation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Somebody else says no. Please put your name next to your vote so I can won't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, Jay Morris. Thank you. All right. Checking one more time. Joe Sam says yes. And Andre Reno says no. All right. That's it. You can vote still. Give results after. Of course, after news, we have Professor Hossein on. So let's get into our major news. AV is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
A teenager is shot during an attempted robbery in Arima. The suspect in the death of a 15-year-old schoolboy turns himself in to police. A man is taken into custody after leaving a 3-year-old child alone in a vehicle to go shopping at Price Mart. and 115 police constables granted leave to challenge controversial promotion decision by police commissioner. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afril Sintil Bab. Good morning. A teenager was shot yesterday morning during an attempted robbery near a bank in Arima. The incident took place after 8 a.m. on the Eastern Main Road. Police said a customer went to the First Citizens Bank to deposit cash. Before he could do so, he was confronted by an armed assailant. The suspect, who was brandishing a firearm, attempted to grab the bag that contained the undisclosed quantity of cash, but the customer threw the bag and the suspect ran to pick it up off the ground. The customer then pulled out a firearm and fired shots at the suspect, but instead the bullet hit a teenager standing nearby. The suspect then fled the scene. The police and paramedics were notified and the injured boy was taken to the Arima hospital for treatment. His injury was not life-threatening. The suspect in the stabbing death of a 15-year-old boy on Sunday turned himself into the police yesterday afternoon. The 15-year-old suspect from Caroni, in the company of a male close relative, walked into the Chaguanas police station where he confessed to stabbing the schoolboy. 15-year-old secondary school student Christian Lashley of Enterprise in Chaguanas was fatally stabbed on Sunday. Lashley was stabbed in his torso while liming with a group of young men from his community. Police were told that the encounter began as a play fight but ended with Lashley being stabbed with a pocket knife. The perpetrator fled the scene following the incident. A police report stated that at around 5:10 p.m., officers of the Chaguanas CID received a report of wounding at the Chrissy Trace Recreation Ground in Enterprise. PCs Williams and Comedy responded to the scene where they met a 17-year-old boy who reported that at around 4:45 p.m., he, Lashley, the perpetrator, and other people were in the pavilion when he observed Lashley and the perpetrator play fighting. According to the report, the witness told police that a few minutes later, he saw Lashley holding the right side of his torso, covering a stab wound, and Lashley asked to be taken home. The witness said the perpetrator, who was armed with a pocket knife in his right hand, fled the scene. Lashley was taken to the Chaguanas District Health Facility, then later transferred to the Mount Hope Pediatric Hospital. He died while being treated. A post-mortem is expected to be done at the Forensic Science Center in St. James. Detectives of the Homicide Bureau of Region 3 are continuing investigations. The screams of a child left alone in a vehicle echoed in the car park of a warehouse shopping complex Price Mart in La Romaine on Sunday, drawing the attention of security guards and an off-duty senior police officer. The child, aged 3, was discovered unattended in the backseat of a Nissan AD wagon with the windows half closed. A Debe man returned to the vehicle about 20 minutes later, walking with the 2 older sisters of the toddler. Both sisters are under 10 years old. The suspect, age 56, a vendor of Lal Bihari Trace, was taken into police custody on Sunday night, and yesterday he was expected to be charged under Section 41A of the Children's Act, which covers the willful assault, neglect, ill treatment, and abandonment of exposure of the child. The Fraud Squad is reminding the public before purchasing any vehicle through an agent, a thorough check should be made with the Ministry of Trade and Industry to verify the agent is authorized to conduct such transactions. It comes on the heels of a 33-year-old businessman appearing in court on Monday, charged with fraudulent conversion in the sum of $47,000. 33-year-old Stefan Rabindrunath of Barakpur was charged with the offense by officers of the Fraud Squad on June 7, 2024. A victim reported in December 2020 they paid the sum of $47,000 by way of a manager's check to a man. The payment represented the down payment toward the purchase and importation of a vehicle valued at $97,000 to be delivered in 6 weeks' time. The man allegedly failed to deliver the vehicle as arranged, and attempts by the victim to recover the money proved futile. A report was made to the police and an investigation launched into the matter by the Fraud Squad. During the exercise, a male suspect was arrested. High Court Judge Margaret Mohammed has granted leave to 115 police constables to challenge a decision by Police Commissioner Erla Haywood Christopher to promote several officers ahead of them in the matter that created controversy within the TNT Police Service. The officers are contending that the decision to promote 29 officers who were named in the judicial review lawsuit ahead of them is unlawful. The constables are further claiming that 29 officers on the comparative merit list scored less than them but got promoted due to a computer glitch. The officers, via their legal action, are seeking a court order compelling Haywood Christopher to retroactively promote them to corporal as of September 29th, 2023. Addressing the issue, acting DCP Ram Narayan Samaru, who is in charge of administration, had stated that an internal investigation confirmed that the 29 officers were promoted erroneously due to a glitch in the process. Samaru said then that the executive sought advice on how to address the issue of the promoted officers who benefited from the glitch. The TNT Police Service Social and Welfare Association also called on the police commissioner to release the scores of the officers, revoke the promotion of the 29 officers, and launch an investigation. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service 5-day weather outlook reveals this country and the Windward Islands will experience the effect of the passage of a tropical wave. It said the weather is expected to be influenced initially by the intertropical convergence zone. The nearest tropical wave to the east is located near 300 nautical miles east of Trinidad and is moving westward at 10 to 15 knots. The Met Office says from Thursday evening to Friday morning is likely to produce some partly cloudy to cloudy periods with a few light to moderate showers and a medium chance for the development of an isolated heavy shower or thunderstorm in some areas. Well, what is the weather going to look like today? Well, it's going to be rather wet today. For the period today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago, cloudy and breezy conditions are expected with few showers and periods of rain. There is a medium chance of isolated heavy showers or thunderstorms. Conditions will improve by evening to give a fair but hazy night. Please note that gusty winds and street or flash flooding may occur near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Expect a forecast maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 27 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, a teenager is shot during an attempted robbery in Arima. The suspect in the death of a 15-year-old schoolboy turns himself into police. A man is taken into custody after leaving a 3-year-old child alone in a vehicle to go shopping at PriceSmart. And 115 police constables granted leave to challenge controversial promotion decision by police commissioner. I'm April Sintelbad. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All righty. Thank you so much, Avi, for our major news. You can join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right. And then at noon today with Sir Charles, yep, you got another major news. Let's take a look at what's happening on the highways and on the byways. Traffic is heavy. I will tell you that. Going to Santa Rosa to Tumpuna Road, you've got traffic. Piarco, straight to UE, and before Curep, you've got traffic straight into Port of Spain. Aranguez, Elsgo Road's pretty busy. Curep, Southern Main Road as well. From Arima Old Road, various spots you go through with traffic, going to Trin City and so on. Tacarigo, passing through to Maloney, and then St. Augustine, straight up towards Mova, you've got some traffic there. Lady Young Road, got it. Coming down Lady Young Road towards the Queen's Park, Savannah. You've got traffic there before the double bends. All right. Lower Santa Cruz, you've got it. Maraval, heavy. Even before Mocha, you've got traffic. Diego Martin, same thing. All right. Let's head out south, make our way up north. Got a couple accidents down there. San Fernando, yeah, you're definitely beginning to build. Got some traffic on the creek. Your traffic is starting from south, heading straight up towards Claxton Bay. Monroe Road is heavy. In Couva itself, vicinity heavy. Leaving Couva, taking the Calcuttas to Chase Village, you've got some congestion. Congestion again on the highway, DeSolo, from Couva towards Freeport, and then heavier towards Sugargourness. And before Monroe Road in Charlieville, you've got some traffic heading towards the interchange. Yeah. The traffic is heavy. Please take your time. The roads are wet. All right. All right. Let's see if we have any more votes here. Let's see. Just comments. No votes. I have got somebody. Yeah, please put your name next to your WhatsApp. Edison. What did Edison say? No. All right. Thank you, Edison. All right. So that's it. Before our guest, Professor Hossain, comes on, let's get the results of our morning poll, where we asked you, do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT, value-added tax? Yes or no? Rich?
Yes, Dave. So we had 47 people voting on the poll this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And of the 47, of course, the poll this morning was, and you can still see it there, do you believe the allegations that there was a discussion in cabinet to increase VAT? Of the 47 people that voted this morning, 25 of you said no, you do not believe the allegations, and 22 of you said yes. It was pretty close, actually, and there were points it was dead even. It was a complete, yep. There were times it was a complete 50-50 split in those saying yes and those saying no. But then the no's went ahead by a few. So the no's ended up being ahead at 25 and the yeses at 22 for a total of 47 people voting on the poll this morning. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, throughout programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday.
Yeah, Hump Day Wednesday.
And midweek already, believe it or not.
Yeah, imagine that. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Captain Ron. All right. So our guest is going to come on shortly, Professor Roger Hossain. We're going to grab him. Maybe I should just message him and tell him we're ready. Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're going to be talking IMF and the IMF Executive Board, which concluded the 2024 Article 4 consultation on Trinidad and Tobago. It was issued on June 4th, I believe, or published on June 4th. So the Executive Board and for the first time in a decade, I'm just quoting directly from the report, for the first time in a decade, Trinidad and Tobago is undergoing a gradual and sustained economic recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Real gross domestic product is estimated to have further expanded by 2.1% in 2023, reflecting a strong performance of the non-energy sector. Inflation has declined sharply, mainly due to decelerating global food and imported goods prices, and banks' credit to the private sector continues to expand, and the financial sector appears sound and stable. This is all, good remarks on the Trinidad and Tobago economy. The current account is estimated to remain in a surplus in 2023, and international reserve coverage is adequate for 8.3 months of prospective total imports. The fiscal deficit in fiscal year 2023 continued supporting the recovery and was better than budgeted, while public sector debt remained below the authorities' soft debt target. Economic growth is projected to gain momentum in 2024, supported by the non-energy and energy sectors, and inflation is projected to remain low. The current account surplus will narrow, mainly due to a decline in energy prices and energy exports, and it is estimated at 5.7% of GDP in 2024. International reserve coverage is expected to remain adequate at 7.5 months of prospective total imports. So it's expected to go down a bit in 2024, that reserve. And external public buffers in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund are large at about 20% of GDP. The fiscal position is projected to remain adequate, reaching a deficit of 2.7% of GDP in fiscal year 2024. This reflects lower energy revenues, increased capital spending, and a higher wage bill due to the long-standing public wage settlements with some unions. The balance of risks is tilted to the downside in the near term, but there are upside risks in the medium term. In the near term, downside risks stem from external factors affecting energy markets, example, an abrupt global slowdown, and domestic sources such as disappointments in energy production, example, delays to new projects or unexpected disruptions to current production. In the medium term, upside risks stem from new natural gas projects and the implementation of planned structural reforms, which could boost growth. So that's a sense, kind of like a kind of overview of what the IMF is thinking in terms of their review of the Trinidad and Tobago economy under Article 4. This is the executive board, of course, of the IMF. Executive directors agreed with the thrust of the staff appraisal. They welcomed Trinidad and Tobago's sustained economic recovery, sharp decline in inflation in 2023, and strong external position. Directors considered that while the outlook is favorable, the balance of risks tilted to the downside in the near term and to the upside in the medium term. Going forward, they emphasized the need for reforms to strengthen the economic recovery, rebuild buffers, and secure a more diversified, green, resilient, and inclusive economy. That word diversification that we've been hearing since primary school.
Okay.
Not necessarily from the IMF, but maybe from them too, I guess. Directors highlighted that strengthening the medium-term fiscal position could help rebuild fiscal buffers and maintain public debt well below the authority's soft debt target. They agreed that developing a rules-based fiscal framework and a sound debt management strategy would help strengthen fiscal management and mitigate macro-financial risks. Directors underscored the need to address fiscal risks from the pension system and energy transition and recommend the proclaimed Procurement Act, which should help improve the efficiency of public spending. Directors also emphasized the importance of continued efforts to mobilize revenue, particularly from the non-energy sector. Now, the non-energy sector has been one of the upsides in terms of the economy, in terms of the economists that we have spoken with recently.
Yeah.
Certainly, the non-energy sector seems to be, at least going in the right direction in terms of exports and its contribution to GDP. Directors underscored, well, here's the one they're talking about foreign exchange now. Directors underscored the importance of maintaining sound and consistent macroeconomic policies to support the current exchange rate, current exchange rate management. They encouraged the authorities to remain vigilant and stand ready to increase the monetary policy. Increase the monetary policy rate should potential capital outflow risks intensify. Directors stress that addressing foreign exchange shortages remains a priority and encouraged adopting a more efficient and market clearing infrastructure for allocating FX. They noted that removing all restrictions on current international transactions and greater exchange rate flexibility over the medium term would help meet the demand for FX. So I suppose what they're saying there is to let it, because we do a managed float in terms of our exchange rate. So I think what the IMF is suggesting there is to broaden that or remove all of those restrictions and let it float completely. I suppose Professor Hussain can weigh in on that.
And should be on any minute now.
And what that would mean. So just giving people a sense of what the IMF report said so that it will contextualize better the conversation with Professor Hussain. And especially when we open up the lines and people want to get a little interactive. Directors recognize the financial system's resilience while emphasizing vigilance against potential vulnerabilities. They welcomed the progress achieved and encouraged further effort towards implementing the 2020 FSAP recommendations. Directors commended the authorities' progress in strengthening the financial integrity and international tax transparency framework and encouraged them to continue strengthening the domestic tax administration and AML/CFT frameworks in line with international best practices, enhancing fintech, promoting financial inclusion, and strengthening the regulatory and supervisory guidance of e-money and cybersecurity will also be key. Directors welcomed the authorities' commitment to diversifying the economy, attracting investment, promoting private sector engagement, and increasing trade integration. They encouraged the authorities to further enhance the business environment, tackle insecurity, and strengthen the efficiency of trade logistics. Directors commended the authorities' actions to advance their climate and energy transition agenda and emphasized the importance of building climate-resilient infrastructure. They also welcomed the authorities' efforts to improve the quality, timeliness, and coverage of macroeconomic statistics, which should be sustained. It is expected the next Article 4 consultation with Trinidad and Tobago will be held on the standard 12-month consultation cycle.
All right.
Just in case you wanted some of the data, the GDP per capita US is for 2022 is $19,692. Of course, that's in a drop from years ago when we were really booming. So the GDP per capita is now $19,692. Population is estimated at 2022 at 1.53 million. Life expectancy, 73 years. This is from 2021. Under 5 mortality rate per 1,000, 16.3. Adult literacy rate, that is a 2010 statistic. They're saying it's 99%. Unemployment rate 2023 is 3.2%. But the third quarter of 2023 is 3.2%. And Human Development Index 2021 of 191 economies, we placed 57th. And that's kind of a quick overview. They give all other data now, different things, figures, which is too much to go through. But that gives you a sense of it with regard to what is going on and how the IMF views the economy. There is some good news and some caution. I guess is how you could put it in moving forward in terms of the Trinidad and Tobago economy. But of course, we know that there's a fiscal deficit and that has to be managed, and which has grown because of the prices of the energy commodities that we trade in. And the Minister of Finance has already indicated that the next 2 years are going to be a little challenging. That's not
rough.
Yeah, and that's not exactly the words he said. I don't think he said a little challenging. I want to quote exactly what he said. I don't know if you have it right there, Steve.
No, I don't actually.
But a version of that is going to be a little challenging over the next 2 years.
I remember reading it though.
Because of the energy prices and because of the shortfall in expected revenue this year, because of the lower than expected energy prices. It's something we would have discussed on the Power Breakfast Show, because we would have discussed the issue of what some economists would have said when they based the budget on certain prices that were at best optimistic, according to some economists at the time, and they felt that there was a little bit of overreach in those prices. Well, so said, so done. It has come home to roost, so to speak, figuratively.
Yeah.
So we'll see how all of that goes. So we are holding for Professor Hussain.
Yeah.
So we'll have a conversation on this exact report that I just referenced. There's more data concerning figures and stuff like that, which I suppose Professor Hussain will have off the top of his head, because this is his field. But he could weigh in on what he thinks of it.
Yeah,
I
I
remember when we had a conversation with him some time ago, he had told Paul to look out for this IMF report, and something specifically in the report that he talked about, and I can't remember what data point he was referring to, but he did say to look out for it. And well, I'm not so sure, so maybe he could remind us on what that was. But he said it was coming out in like a week or two, but it took a little bit longer than that, because it was only published on June 4th. So we could say, maybe you could take some.
We did a couple of calls by the time he's just getting organized. I don't know if Paul is. He's ready.
You say that again?
I said Professor is ready. I don't know what's going on.
When you say he's ready, what do you mean? He's in the studio?
Yeah.
He's not up on the feed yet.
No, Paul had to let him in. So, good morning, CPT Singh. Your message? Okay, we can take some calls by the time of what Richard just read out, because that's going to be our discussion tomorrow. I mean, this morning, sorry. Okay, maybe Ruben could let him in. I'm not sure.
So we're waiting for Professor Hussain to come in. I've seen some messages here, but I'm not so sure what it's about. You know that messaging streamers be having their own conversations.
Oh yes.
So I'm not so sure what is going on. There's some exchange. I seen at Henry, calm down. Like the song Calm Down. What is going on? I seen Cheryl Henry.
I'll have to call Paul.
Cheryl Henry is saying, Richard, how could a special branch report get into the hands of Ms. Jayanti Lachmidial? Minister Cummings is correct with his pre-action protocol letter. Shanifa Ali said, well said, Mr. Ragoobarsingh on the program, on air, online, able to listen. See, gentlemen. CPT Singh says, morning. Okay. So anyway, so that's basically where we are. People were talking about Petrochin earlier. Just looking at some of the comments online. So we're waiting for Professor Hussain to join us to discuss the IMF report, the Article 4 consultation, which happens basically annually, every 12 months. And we'll hear what he has to say in terms of what I would have given an indication of in just a few seconds ago, minutes ago. I wanted to again say thank you to Tobago for coming out to Love is a Walk at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. Man, it was such a wonderful time. And the staff at the Shore Park Cultural Complex was so accommodating. I don't know if you've ever been to the Cultural Complex in Tobago.
I've never been.
But it's pretty large and it has a pretty high ceiling. It almost has a kind of it almost has a kind of stadium quality. It's like a hybrid stadium theater. That's how I would look at it, because of how it's done, but leaning more to theater than stadium. And but pretty big, so that and the stage can only cater for a certain amount of the audience. Even though the facility, I think it holds 3,000 or something like that. Where how the stage is situated in terms of facing the audience is about, you get about half of that house. But the staff was so accommodating. It's so, very professional in terms of accommodating us. It was really a wonderful experience.
All right. Oh yes. I'll have to do some adjustment. I get Ruben to do some adjustments. Good morning, Professor.
Morning, everybody.
Yeah. Professor, okay, there we are. Now we can see you. They had a big band across your face, Professor.
Pardon?
I said they had a big dialogue box across. I wasn't seeing your face,
Okay.
but it's clear.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining us this morning to have a discussion of
Let's jump straight into it.
On the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. The IMF report, the Article 4 consultation, of course, that's some good news for the government in terms of what the executive board is saying about a sustained recovery. And for the first time, I think in a decade, is how they listed it. What's your overview of that Article 4 report?
Well, good morning. And first, I'd like to say thank you for the invitation to share some commentary with the public. I think the Article 4 report, it was a good reflection of the Trinidad and Tobago economy in some parts. It said that the economy has returned to positive growth, and therefore that's something that we want to hear, because for quite a bit of time, our economy from 2015 to 2021, it was basically in a prolonged depression. From 2022, we saw economic growth returned. We saw it again in 2023, based upon the IMF numbers. And when you look at their forecasted data, you see in 2024 until 2029, that economic growth is expected to remain in the Trinidad and Tobago economy. So that's welcome news, and it's something that business people, investors, consumers can build on, because it tells you that the medium-term outlook, there is some economic growth taking place in the Trinidad and Tobago economy. So we should take that in good light and build on that.
Of course, they also reference the risk profile, the medium-term risk, the short-term risk. Of course, it always connects to the volatility of the energy sector and energy prices. That always is a factor in, even though they talk pretty positively about the non-energy sector and its increasing contribution to GDP. So I don't know, what's your view of that? They expected that the medium-term risk would get better because of the expected increase in energy production that's on the horizon. I think that's around 2026 onwards. What's your take on all of that?
Well, it's important to take that into perspective. The first thing that I think the people should be aware of, and is that we were actually downgraded by the IMF when you do a comparative growth assessment. Now, I remember about 3 years ago when I mentioned a similar phenomena, people, it wasn't clear, so I'm going to try to see if I can make it clearer in this commentary. So I'm going to send that graph. Well, I sent it to Paul. I don't know if Paul shared it or pulled it up or anything like that. But our growth performance, if you look at the IMF data, Paul, in 2021, the IMF would forecast economic growth, and they would also give the economic growth for a few years previous. So what I did is I looked at a common time period, 2018, that is covered in the IMF report 2021, to 2024. And then I looked at that from the 2022 report, the 2023 report, and the 2024 report. That's a common period covered in all three IMF documents. And when I look at it, I have the data here. When I look at it, what I am seeing is that by 2024, if I use the IMF 2024 report, economic growth is posted as being 5.6, almost 7% lower than the IMF report 2022, and as compared to the IMF report 2023, about 3% lower. So when the IMF comes into our economy each new year, Steve, and they look at the data and they post the data, their forecast, when I compare it, because you have to compare like with like, you have to be consistent. I'm seeing the IMF expecting a lower level of growth in the as we move forward. So and this is a huge difference to me as an economist, a difference of 7 percentage point almost between 2022 forecast for 2024 and 2024 forecast for 2024. 6 to 7% is a huge difference. And the Minister of Finance and policymakers must ask themselves, even if they don't want this to, nobody will talk about this in the public, but even if they don't want it to be aired in the public, within policy making circles, they must ask, well, wow, why is the IMF continuously putting lower forecasted growth performance out for us? And the second thing is, note that we are not even back to 2019 level of GDP as yet. So there is a lot of course, if you have water in a barrel and the water level goes down, and it goes down by about 22%, say, between how much water you had in 2015 and how much water you have in 2021. Then when the rain fall, you are expected to get a little more improvement in that barrel of water, because there's only a certain level it would fall to. It's the same thing here, in that economic growth fell by about 22% between 2015 and 2021 or thereabout. And now that it has fallen so much and the economy started to open back after COVID, you are starting to see, 10 shops open instead of 1, 15 warehouse open instead of 2. So economic growth is starting to return to the economy on account of a number of factors, one obviously of which is reopening the economy. And therefore you see the non-energy export sector, significant aspects of which was closed, starting to show much more stronger economic growth. Of course, some of the interventions by the state would have been facilitating that growth. So you are starting to see growth return, but our growth, you really need to see if we are back to 2019 levels, and we are not. And we will take a little while to even reach back to 2015 levels of economic activity. So it's a long road ahead. Now, as concerns the performance of the non-energy sector.
Good morning, Professor Hill. Just put a pause there. How are we performing? Because I don't know if you covered this earlier when I was on another interview. How are we performing comparatively? Because we are considering a period pre and post-COVID, and as you said, there will be a sustained improvement post-COVID because we are moving further and further away from the confines of the pandemic. But how are we performing comparatively with other CARICOM countries, or other Caribbean countries?
Other CARICOM countries, we are in the lower category of performance. Other CARICOM countries are growing faster than us, except, if I remember correctly, Haiti and Suriname. All of the other CARICOM countries, when I checked, they are experiencing a higher level of growth. They are expected to experience a higher level of growth into the medium term than Trinidad and Tobago.
Including Barbados?
I don't like the guess at all. Hold on, give me 1 minute. I have it in front of me here.
And while you get that, another consideration, how much of those countries that are under IMF regimes, how do we reconcile comparing those to countries that are not under IMF regimes in terms of the growth projections?
Right. So let me tell you what I'm seeing here. For the forecasted period, 2024 to 2029, because you asked me a direct question, I'm going to give you a direct answer. Haiti is doing worse than Trinidad and Tobago. Aruba is doing worse than Trinidad and Tobago. St. Lucia is expected to do worse than Trinidad and Tobago. The Dominican Republic will do much better. Antigua and Barbuda will do much better. Barbados is expected to do better. You asked about Barbados. Dominica is expected to do better. Grenada is expected to do better. St. Kitts and Nevis is expected to do better. St. Vincent and Grenadines is expected to do better. And I did not put Guyana in the calculations for obvious reasons because it would be out of the chart. So I hope I answered your question there.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the IMF, let me see what the data is saying. Jamaica is going to do 1.7%, well, expected to do 1.7% between 2024 and 2029. So they are expected to do worse than the Trinidad and Tobago economy in the medium term period. Barbados is expected to do slightly better. Now, if I were to include 2023, so I take average annual growth from 2020 to 2023 because in many regards, 2023 is the present. We won't get GDP data for 2023 from the CSO until about October of this year. If I look at that data, and I did this calculation last night, the average economic growth for Trinidad and Tobago for 2020 to 2023, for 2023, I'm using IMF forecasted numbers, is minus 1.6. For Haiti is minus 2.2. That's the only two countries negative. All the other countries are positive. For example, Antigua and Barbuda for that time period, 0.8. The Bahamas, 3. Barbados, 1. Belize, 4.4. Grenada, 0.8. St. Lucia, 1.6. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 2.2. So there's some catch-up work to be done. This reopening the economy back good, we take it and we continue to build on the momentum. But the tremendous obstacle, in my opinion, is crime. You are dealing with a monster out there that if you go to buy a gyro, you have to watch who is buying gyro next to you. In case somebody comes to him, you have to keep watching.
Is there a way to quantify the effect crime is having on the growth in the economy, on the business
there's a way
sector?
to quantify it. Paul, you have to run an econometric model and work it out. But you'd have to have a lot of data. The good thing is I saw the TTPS only recently introduced a new website with some good data, but it is in monthly format. You need some lengthy blocks of data. But yes, I suspect if someone wants to do it, they could work that out. But definitely, I can tell you that there's an inverse correlation in many places between the murder level and economic growth.
The finance minister recently in the Standing Finance Committee and also in the House on Friday spoke to the issue of revising the projections for revenue because of the oil and the gas prices and also production levels. There are many pundits who've been warning about what they consider an optimistic pegging of the price of oil and gas because of the geopolitical situations that may have been artificial and temporary. It's come to pass at some level. So he's predicting, I think if it's not $4 billion less and moving the budget deficit to $9 billion. What are your thoughts on that? And saying, well, the next 3 years are going to be tough, you know?
No, Paul, you of all people would know that when I come on this program, I have told you all those things before. And I even send you graphs linking to the same. The point being that nobody is surprised. In fact, I saw some comments by the Minister of Finance and I was very pleased because, in my opinion, for the first time, I saw things that I really agreed with. He expressed things about the medium term that we knew all along was the situation. And you see, once you do the budget and you pitch at an oil price and a gas price that is equal to the mean plus 1 or 2 standard deviation above the mean, the probability that you are going to be wrong is very high at some point in time. In 2022, we were saved by the Russian-Ukraine war, but it didn't work out this year, and the price is significantly lower, and also the production is significantly lower. Now, all of this, what it means to me is that I am not surprised to hear the Minister of Finance say that at all. I expected from the time the budget was read last year, and I did my own calculations, I expected that he would have to come back for more money on certain assumptions. And so this is not surprising. What we need to do is to recalibrate this economy to operate on a lower level of revenue, and therefore by extension change the level of expenditures so that we could possibly lower the gap between revenues and expenditure moving forward.
But Professor Hussein, you're talking from the point of a scientist and economist. All the minister has technocrats behind him, but there are also political considerations in budget preparation and presentation, particularly in the year before an election. So while what you may be saying makes practical sense, there are also political considerations in significantly reducing expenditure, particularly with social programs, subsidies, and transfers. You know that there are always going to be political considerations, no matter who's in power.
I am sorry. I cannot take that political argument anymore. That political argument sees us at a debt level of 140 billion, has seen this economy not diversify, has seen crime at a level I have never seen in my life in Trinidad and Tobago before in terms of murders. We are ranked in the top 10 in the world in terms of murders per capita. These politicians need to come clean and come straight, just like the NOW was. You know, the NOW was a government that put the reformation of Trinidad and Tobago first. They changed the structure of the economy, they changed the structure of employment, and gave the country a fighting chance. I think this government has, they already made strong steps with Petrotrin, which I agree with. They already made strong steps with the limitation on the increase in wages for public servants. Either you fix the country and make the hard step to move the country forward, or you give someone else a chance. But we cannot afford to be running fiscal deficits at $9 billion and $10 billion a year, and it's just unsustainable. So you have to make the hard decisions. And when you look at our transfers and subsidies, the percentage change from 2008 to 2023, it's ridiculous. And therefore, our transfers and subsidies, Paul, if you look at IMF data, is about 17 to 18% of GDP, whereas the Caribbean average is about 6%. Why do we have to have a transfers and subsidies ratio about 3 times the regional average? Although our per capita GDP is no better than the regional average, it's about the same. Although our standard of living is similar throughout the region, our human development index is the same throughout the region, basically. But our crime level is significantly worse. Our labor force participation rate is significantly worse. Come on, people, wake up and let's do the homework. Let's do the work.
Are you willing to take some calls, Professor Hussein?
Yes, I will try my best. I don't know if I will be able to answer.
How concerned are you as an economist about capital flight?
I am very concerned, Paul, because if you have a high murder level and capital is leaving Trinidad and Tobago to go to Guyana or Suriname or Canada, both physical capital, financial capital, and human capital, that would compromise our supply capacity in this economy. It would compromise the quality of our factor inputs going into the production function and will strain growth options in the medium term.
I wanted to touch on the foreign exchange issue because the IMF in that Article 4 consultation did reference Forex and that the government needs to do something to address it. And they suggested expanding the managed float and making it a little bit less restrictive. Is it that they're actually saying to, in other words, I don't know what your interpretation of it, because they couch it in particular terms. I don't know if your interpretation is that they're saying, forget the managed float and just float and let it fall where it may.
But the IMF has said the same comment for about the last 6 years. Basically, for about the last 6 years, they have said the same thing, and they are basically suggesting that we move away from a managed exchange rate closer towards a floating exchange rate. So we remove obstacles in the foreign exchange market. This is about the 6th year they have said it in consecutive terms.
Why would be the government? The government is obviously reluctant to do that. What's your position on it? Should we do that?
There are other lower hanging fruits, I think. I think we should register the Venezuelans. I think, and I'm going to use a number here that I see floating about,
What does that mean, registered Venezuelans?
Right. I'm going to explain. I'm going to use a number here for the Venezuelans, the number of Venezuelans here that I see floating about. I see 100,000, I see 120,000. I'm going to assume half of that amount and go with 60,000. Registering the Venezuelans, Paul, means that we have about, is it 16,525 of the Venezuelans that are here? We had a day or 2 days where we told them come and they registered to be here as immigrants, if I'm using the correct terminology. Now, that allows the government of Trinidad and Tobago to have a database, some type of information. It also allows the Venezuelans to walk about and work free in our country, because if the police stop them, they have some kind of paper or some kind of...
But you're saying register the Venezuelan, Professor Hussein, but the registration processes on more than one occasion have been open to any Venezuelan who had been here, who was able to go and get registered.
So insist on it and let the police get involved by doing some random checks. Insist on it, because that's the only way. If me or you...
So why are you saying the police are doing random checks? Just this weekend in Tobago, the police did a random check and rounded up 24 people, some of whom they said were Venezuelans.
I have done a lot of work on this issue, Paul. I'm telling you that the majority of the Venezuelans here are not registered. Or if
I am not disagreeing with that, but what you're suggesting is the government, the state register them. The state has opened opportunities on more than one occasion for Venezuelans who are here illegally.
We have to make it mandatory. We have to make it compulsory that if they are here, they are registered. And in that way, we increase the probability that they do not have to go and hide.
How do you make it compulsory when the ones who are found to be illegal here are being taken back to Venezuela? What other mechanism do you suggest to make it compulsory?
We make it compulsory by making it compulsory. What other way we could do?
But it is compulsory in a legal sense. If you are to be here and work and get services, the only other way is to have this mass hunt down and
but the registration process wasn't mandatory. The registration process was voluntary.
It was voluntary, but how else, I'm asking, how else do you suggest the state ensure that these persons who come here
I don't think, Professor Hussain, if it is that you're suggesting that you're bringing them more formally into the economic structure of the country. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, by insisting they be registered, it increases. When you are unregistered and you are hiding and in Trinidad and Tobago, where would you go and work? You don't want the police to stop you at all. You don't
want to stop that person from going to be registered when it was open.
They may have come after. They may have come after.
These things have been done on more than one occasion, and
right, but it was not compulsory. And
not to be registered.
I don't know, Paul. I don't know if that's true. You know, I think the registration process that was open.
Registered.
No, but the registration process that was open after was more for renewal. You know, I don't think it was for adding on new people.
It was for renewal. The thing is, I am not asking Paul about this. You know, Paul, I am telling you, I keep abreast of this. I wrote this book here on. And I keep abreast of this all the time. So I know, I am confident about what I'm saying. We need to insist on the Venezuelans being registered. And the new Venezuelans that come here, jump on a boat and go back to Copita and then jump on a boat and come here. This is not a free-for-all. We have to have them registered. And but to drift into the economics, once they are registered, we increase the probability that they go and work in places that could contribute more to foreign exchange generation, possibly, and contribute more to progress. When we have them in the informal, non-tradable sector, that is leading to all kind of perverse other outcomes. And I think that is what the policymakers are not understanding. If it is you have unregistered people, and this is a fact, and they go and work in the informal, non-tradable sector, and capital follows the boom in that labor, then you skew the structure of production and look at the implications for foreign exchange.
So what you're suggesting is the government should start initiate a new registration process for those ones who have come after the first registration.
Yes, and make it compulsory that they register. You have, if you are in Trinidad and Tobago and you are working, you must be registered.
I'm trying to figure out how you're going to make that compulsory, you know, because people will opt not to fly under the radar anyway.
Well, just as they make it compulsory for me and you in some form if we go to New York, if we know if we are there, and we don't want to register, we have to hide, and that's a complicated lifestyle. We are giving them a soft landing. We are saying all you have to do is register, and you could get some more basic privileges. When you go to the hospital, you show your registration card. Well, not necessarily the hospital.
Also, you're
when
saying
you go to the places that we
incentivize the
offer,
registration so more people option it.
yes. But coming back to the growth, if you do that, that's the only booming factor of production in Trinidad and Tobago now, the labor market. Without that, our labor market participation rate is about 56%, almost 20 percentage points less than, say, the Bahamas. So you give the economy a chance to make better use of this booming factor of production that is on our shores, and because all of this came up in relation to devaluation. If you want to devalue the currency, it means you are trying to get your exports produced and sold at a cheaper cost to foreigners. But if you increase your labor force and you produce more, you also lower the cost of production, and you could therefore become more competitive externally in the things you sell. So I am looking at it from that angle. I would have tackled the Venezuelans' labor supply. I would have tackled the crime situation that is imposing a serious strain on the business community. And I would have tackled ease of doing business very aggressively. Like I would have told the Prime Minister to form a 3-man ministerial team for each thing and set a 100-day plan by which you want improvement. And Paul said it earlier, we are in an election year, so it's the most beautiful time for the government to bring out 100-day plans to convince the population that things they didn't do in 9 years, they could get it done now and progress the economy.
Things they couldn't do in 9 years to get it done now.
Well, it is doable. It is doable.
I am not saying it's not doable, but I don't know. Sometimes I think executives in any administration have different priorities than what the practical man on the street is thinking. Because, I mean, what may be obvious to you seemingly is not obvious to some of the decision makers. Because you're thinking like an economist, they're thinking like politicians and economists and whatever else their mandate is.
Paul, with a labor force participation rate at 56%, with your economy in the medium term only expected to grow about 2%, with a contraction in GDP between 2015 and 2021 of about 22%, with almost 400,000 people in the economically inactive population. I have no choice but
before we go, because we're running out of time, how much is Guyana's exponential growth affecting our growth?
That's an interesting one, something I would have to look at quantitatively. But I think there will be some spillover benefits in terms of labor market absorption, in terms of remittances from Guyana to Trinidad, in terms of an increase in demand for our export goods. So those are definitely some, and in terms of our our investors here going across in Guyana, setting up shop, and therefore repatriating profits. So that has to be properly quantified. It's early days yet because the numbers wouldn't be as clear because some of these movements are now starting to take place, but definitely a positive spillover impact, or you call it neighborhood growth. And I hope that's a relationship we build with Guyana in a much deeper, more pronounced way going forward, and similarly with Suriname.
Professor Hussein, thanks for being with us this morning. Where can I get the book?
I suppose on Amazon. I presume on Amazon.
It's your book on its own.
I'm not involved. I'm not involved in this selling.
It's your book, and you don't know where to get it? Okay.
He said go on Amazon. Amazon has everything.
Yeah. He said he supposes on Amazon.
No, well, yeah, Palgrave would be selling it there.
Wherever you write the book, I know your problem again. All right.
Yeah, my job is to bring this information to the people.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time and your contribution.
Okay, everybody, good morning.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right.
All right. All right. That was Professor Roger.
You all have a great day. Be safe out there.
This is where we wrap up the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Have a fantastic, rainy Tuesday morning. But it seems to have stopped a little bit now. So have a fantastic day, whatever you're doing. And remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health.
All right.
People in Tobago after this weekend, I can tell you. Have a good one. Speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning.
All right. Have a good day, folks. All right. Let's get into our